Welcome to our New Year's Eve and 100th edition of News Geelong. On tonight's news, we look back at some of the stories that highlighted 2010, together with current news on further contributions to the community through health, raising funds for cancer and a long-serving volunteer member of the Country Fire Authority. From the Geelong world of sport, the Flying Hawk Nathan Curry looks at highlights from the past year 2010. And from the weather world, an update on the expected New Year weather for the beginning of 2011 in and around Geelong and District. Diabetes is a chronic condition that occurs when there are abnormally high levels of glucose or sugar in the blood, caused by the body not producing enough or no insulin. Bowen Health continues to provide the best-in-class monitoring and treatment abilities for diabetes, as Ian Nichols reports.
I'm in the paediatric diabetes service of Bowen Health, and for a very good reason. They have a brand new machine here that's been made possible through the work of volunteers. Now, this machine saves children, youngsters, an enormous amount of time and pain. What used to take an eternity can now be resolved in a matter of 6 minutes, and there are no more needles, and that's the big benefit of this new machine for children with type 1 diabetes.
So this is a machine that allows us to test something called a hemoglobin A1C level, and that's a level that we check to look at what diabetes control has been like over the previous 3 months. And previously, and in most instances, you need to have some blood taken from a vein, and for some children in particular, that can be a traumatic event, and it's certainly a slightly uncomfortable event, even for kids where it's not majorly traumatic. This machine is fantastic because it just needs a small amount of blood, a small drop from a finger prick, which is much easier to take, and particularly in kids with diabetes, they're used to doing finger pricks, and it's just the same as doing another finger prick for them. So it's a fantastic machine, they love it, and we're very appreciative to Our Women's, Our Children Foundation who've provided it. It's been a great addition to our diabetes clinic.
We know that volunteer organisations play a very big part in hospitals, but I believe in the case of Our Women, Our Children volunteers, it's a pretty special organisation, and as president you must be absolutely delighted that the children now are going to benefit from something you've been able to supply.
Absolutely. Our Women, Our Children volunteers are an extremely enthusiastic group of volunteers who fundraise all year for children and women's services under the Bowen Health banner, and are really excited that the diabetes clinic can now be up and running with the equipment that they require for the children.
I'm assuming that this machine was a top priority, given that nobody likes needles.
Huge priority, absolutely, to make sure that the clinic has what it requires to make life easier for these children suffering from diabetes.
Now, Jake, we'll start with you. Being a boy, you're brave. You were having needles for quite some time. Yeah. You can show it to us there. What's the difference between that awesome-looking thing and the new equipment?
Well, this is the old one we used to have. We had to get 4 mils of blood out, and like the needle was like big, and now all we have to do is get a little prick from that and just get probably not even 1 mil, and that's all we get.
Taylor, how long has this been going on in your life?
6 years.
Right, so you know that it's been painful. You must be greatly relieved now.
Yeah, I don't like needles.
Well, I don't know anybody who really does, but this is a big difference though, isn't it?
Yeah, there's the size and it's not scary as much.
Well, you must be relieved. And I mean, this to have type 1 diabetes, and it's such a problem these days. I mean, more and more people are being diagnosed with diabetes in Australia, and to keep it under control, you have to do this constantly.
Every 3 months you got to take the big one, but now the tiny small one.
And what happens to you on a daily basis? Do you still have to measure those levels, those blood sugar levels?
Yeah, we have this little machine, and like you put this little reading electrode in, and then you take some blood and you put it in, and it'll like tell you what your reading is. And then if it's like a bit high, maybe you got to take a needle, like insulin and that. interesting.
Yeah. At the Diabetes Paediatric Service of Barwon Health, this is Ian Nichols reporting for News Geelong with the good news that children no longer have to go to pathology for any more needles.
Thank you, Ian. Country Fire Authority volunteers make a difference, coming from all walks of life and having diverse backgrounds, interests and skills. One of our Geelong CFA volunteers, Laurie Hill, has received his 45-year service award recognising his voluntary contribution that began at the then Highton Rural Fire Brigade. 1965 saw the beginning of service to the CFA and the Geelong City Fire Brigade. Laurie Hill proudly wears his 45-year service bar. Congratulations, Laurie. Not too long ago that you started.
No, not that long ago. Just 45 good years ago.
And how old, without giving your age away, you must have been a young pup when you started your involvement?
Between 15 and 17 I was.
15 and 17. And whereabouts was that first of all?
That was at Highton Rural Fire Brigade, and they became urban, and used to live over the back fence from the fire station. Every time the siren would go on the top of the old tin shed, I'd be up on the fence and watching the volunteers arrive and go out in the truck with the lights and sirens going. I thought, that's a job I want to do. Certainly progressed a lot from the old front-mounted pumpers and the old tankers, the Austins and that used to vaporise when the weather got hot, and pumps on the back that used to stall, and now they're all run off the motor of the truck with diesel pumps and everything like that. And the new equipment that we've got at our new station, it's just really tremendous. Ash Wednesday still sticks in my mind, where we went to Macedon in the morning and then came back and then went to Lorne in the afternoon. That was horrendous. And then you look at Lara in 69, 67 and interstate that I've been 3 times. You realise how horrendous it is, but you tend to step on and move forward. You must have been able to work with a lot of great people during your 45 years of service so far. Yeah, tremendous. The volunteers that you meet around the state and interstate as well, and the staff, the permanent staff that are here and Belmont and Corio, and even around the state that you get to know after being around for that long. It's enjoyable to work with the guys. Laurie, the technology of today, how do you keep up to date with it? Continuous training and that, and I'm not so much on the firefighting side now as I used to be. It's almost a full-time volunteer job, learning and keeping up to date with the gear and everything, and with the rescue appliance and that here. I mean, our volunteers, we've got about 17 or 18 active volunteers. Hard to keep up with training every week. They're just on a break at the moment over Christmas. Then they'll get back into it about the 3rd week in January. And it's just very constant training, but it's interesting, and I like watching the guys training and doing the work and that. And when we talk about training, it's not just a matter of running up ladders and hoses. You mentioned the word administration. It's a great work done behind the scenes that I suppose Black Saturday is a day that a lot of our viewers will well remember, where we as communities became aware of what goes on behind the scenes and just how essential it is. Yeah, that's very true. I remember Black Saturday, I was in Melbourne at a function, came home at 11 o'clock at night. At 11:30 we were into it, and about 26 hours later I went to bed again. No rest for the wicked, but behind the scenes nowadays, with through the Royal Commission, we've found the areas of communication absolutely essential. That's possibly the thing that came out most of all, lack of communication and things, but I think it's picked up a lot now in the last 12 months or so. Things have improved a lot. Well, Laurie, congratulations on your 45-year service bar. Look forward to the 50 years, which well within your grasp, and we congratulate you on the service that you've done for the citizens of Geelong. You're a very well-known face around Geelong, and congratulations on your achievement, and keep up the great work. Thanks, Graham, and thanks to the people at Channel 31. Well done, Laurie. Keep up the great work as we all look forward to the 50th. This is News Geelong 100th edition, as we go to a break and return with more news after this.